You'll have to excuse me, my contacts are a little dry by now. My name is Wilma Oscar. I've been here a lot throughout the years. My case is a little well known. I'm a 15-year survivor of domestic violence. I left my ex-husband in 2009. He used the court system. He manipulated the court system very well. When domestic violence comes into play and the abuser usually is very charming, he presents very well. The victim usually comes out with battered women syndrome, PTSD. She doesn't present as well. So my ex-husband was very good at manipulating the system. He had me arrested 3 times on false charges. While I was being arraigned in the criminal court, he would immediately be in family court filing orders for sole custody. The 3rd time he had me arrested, he took my kids and I didn't see them for a period of 2 years. I'm kind of skipping around here because I don't want to take up a lot of time. So at that time, I was forced to sign an agreement. I went through the whole process of therapists. I had Dr. Hebel. I was forced into the PEACE program, which was a nightmare. He threatened to kill me right in the parking lot, and Dr. Habelow did nothing. I had a forensic psychologist, Dr. Friedman, did an entire evaluation on the whole family. He said my ex-husband was a sociopath. He said he was alienating the kids. He said the only way to save my children was to reverse custody. He got it. He got the whole picture. It was great. DCF was involved in my case. They said, you know, your ex-husband is crazy. There's nothing we can do. Everybody got it. Rhonda Mora didn't get it. She was my guardian ad litem. Rhonda Mora said to me the first time we sat down, he's a stronger parent. You know, you're weak. You allowed yourself to allegedly be abused. I said, allowed myself to be allegedly abused? That doesn't really make sense, but okay. So from the get-go, she was never going to let me have any custody of my kids. She sat at his table. She was with his lawyer. She had made her decision. She forced me to sign an agreement giving my ex-husband custody, and I would see my kids in reunification therapy. Now, Dr. Friedman had said, and I'm going to quote him, without the change of custody, the family sessions are doomed to failure. That was in his report. That's what he said. When we wanted to present his report in court and go to trial, she threatened him on the phone. He called me up and said, I'm not going to testify to my report. He backed down. That's why I had to sign this agreement in the end. We went to reunification therapy. My ex-husband planted listening devices on the kids, okay, so that he could hear what they were saying. They would storm out. They would try and hit me. They didn't want to stay. She gave up. We couldn't do anything with reunification therapy. My story has a little twist. In 2012, my ex-husband was arrested for sexually molesting my daughter's friend. He was going to go to prison. There was no doubt about that. There was DNA evidence. He was going. I got my kids back on a Friday night, and after 2 years of complete separation and alienation, within 72 hours we were rebonded again as if we had never been separated. I still had to fight custody because he still has the right to due process. So I came back to Connecticut. I had left Connecticut to stay with family at this time. Rhonda Mora was reappointed as a GAL. Why I needed a GAL at this point, I have no idea. So he was fighting custody. I was in a side courtroom waiting for her to go in and testify. The judge said state rates because I lost my job. My ex-husband was incarcerated, and she said, you need my testimony today. I want to get paid my full rate. It'll be $4,000. That was minutes before we walked into the courtroom to have her testify. Dr. Friedman testified. Everybody else did their thing. I paid her more than $30,000. I have no money. My brother paid for everything, for all of my legal bills. I'm lucky. I'm one of the lucky ones. My family helped me. There are people that don't get that help. But it cost him upwards of $200,000 just to help me. And he doesn't owe me that money. I just want to quote one thing from my youngest daughter. She kept a diary in the 2-year imprisonment with her father, kind of like Anne Frank. So she wrote this 3 months before I got her back. I am so tired of my dad. He beats me. He is always slapping me around. He just did it and locked me in my room. I'll talk to you later if he doesn't beat me to death. That was what my daughter wrote in her diary. I found that while she was at camp and I was packing her stuff. When I got custody of the kids, I was allowed to flee Connecticut. I fled Connecticut in 72 hours. We packed my car and we left. I have a running restraining order against my ex-husband, which he violated from prison, and I live in an undisclosed location to date, and I still can't get a job because of the false arrest that he made here. And my kids don't have a college fund. There is no savings. There's nothing left.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Okay, so,
Questions?
are there any questions?
Just, maybe it's more of a comment that with all the testimony we've heard on the alienation and the fact that people don't see their children for years, and I personally have endured months without seeing my children at a time for long periods because of a relationship. The nice thing that I'm happy to hear in your situation, and the others can hold out hope for this, is that when you do see your children, the bonding is almost immediate. I believe that's why Linda Smith teaches at the Guardian Ad Litem training that access is essential regardless of the confrontation, unless there's a safety issue for the child. Access is essential to maintain the relationship. I'm sorry it didn't happen in your circumstance or in the others, but it is amazing what happens so quickly as soon as you're back with your children.
Right, but Rhonda had no intention of doing that. She was
I
perfectly
understand.
fine to just leave it. No, she didn't do it. I did it.
I know, I understand your
When the police
testimony.
called me and said they arrested him, I called DCF to get a worker out to the house because they didn't even bother to find out where my kids were. And I met the DCF worker at the house. I took custody of my kids. I had to go back to court to file an ex parte to get physical custody because at that time I didn't have physical custody. But the DCF worker was like, well, what are we going to do with them? You're the mother. You take custody. That's when the judge reassigned her to the case, and I have no idea why. I was going to get custody either way. I'm the mother. What was he going to do with the kids? So what was she even needed for? But she was already in the courtroom. She was sniffing around for more cases because that's what she does best. She's basically an ambulance chaser of the family courthouse. She waits there to get more cases. So she didn't need to be there, and she made another 10 grand just by happening to be there that day. But the judge actually applied state rates, and she mentioned nothing that she got that check from me when we were in court. So I don't know if she charged the state for it as well. She could have. It wasn't put on the record.
Yeah, quick question.
Representative Vargas.
Have you attempted to have the arrest record expunged?
Well, the problem is I wasn't ever charged with anything. But when you Google my name, which a lot of employers do, because it comes up in the West Hartford patch, and there isn't a lot on me, it's like one of the first things that comes up is that I was arrested on this and this day. And because he always, his favorite thing to do was to say I was threatening him with a knife, it's like a Class C felony. So it says that I was arrested for assault with a weapon, not something that most people want to usually hire you for.
But you have no conviction, right?
I have no convictions,
okay.
And I have, no, the charges were all
So
dropped.
nothing to expunge.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, and thank you for waiting here all day to tell us your story.
Have a good night.